Hello and welcome. I'm Bimbo Luede. Tonight, President Jonathan vetoes the amended constitution by the National Assembly, refuses to assent to some sections. Fire engulfs 14-story Kontagora building at Marina, Lagos. 3 kidnapped children found after over a week. And survivors of the migrants' shipwreck on the Mediterranean say it could have been avoided.
On Business News tonight, the CBN caps overseas spending by Nigerians to $50,000 annually. While on sports news, Nigeria maintains a 100% record of reaching the semi-finals of the 2015 African Beach Soccer Championship in Seychelles.
The amended 1999 Constitution may still not come into use, as President Goodluck Jonathan refused to assent to the bill today because a section of the Constitution removes the approval of the President from the process of Constitution amendment. The National Assembly had approved some sections of the Constitution and sent it to the President for assent. But President Jonathan vetoed the process. Our correspondent, Linda Akigbe, reports.
Federal lawmakers did not see this coming, a situation where President Goodluck Jonathan would refuse to assent to some sections of the Constitution amended by the National Assembly. President Jonathan wrote to the National Assembly detailing the sections which he refused to approve.
Section 4 of the 4th Alteration Act 2015 seeks to act Section 9 of the 1999 Constitution by the insertion of a new subsection 3A, which dispenses with the assent of the President in the process of constitutional amendment. However, this alteration can only be valid if the proposal was supported by the votes of not less than 4/5 majority of all the members of each House of the National Assembly and approved by a resolution of the House of Assembly of not less than 2/3 of all the states as provided by Section 9, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution.
In the letter read by the Senate President, President Jonathan rejected the alteration of Section 9 of the Constitution, which removes the approval of the President in the process of Constitution amendment. President Jonathan also rejected the amendment which seeks to separate the office of Attorney General of the Federation from the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General from the Commissioner for Justice in the respective states of the Federation.
Section 45A of the 4th Alteration Act 2015, which guarantees the right to free basic education, is too open-ended and should have been restricted to government schools. This is because a right, unless qualified or restricted, must be observed by all. The same argument applies to Section 45B, which guarantees unqualified right to free primary and maternal care services. The implication of this is that private institutions will be obliged under the Constitution to offer free medical services, since it is a right.
For nearly 3 years, the 7th Assembly has been working to amend the Constitution, spending billions of naira in the process. But President Jonathan vetoing some of the amendments is a major setback for federal lawmakers in the 7th Assembly. Lawmakers have planned to hold a 2-day retreat to discuss the matter, and Nigerians are eager to know what the next action would be. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the government of President Goodluck Jonathan has begun winding down, as the Federal Executive Council today directed all ministers to prepare their handover note on or before Monday, April the 20th. The Minister of Information, Mrs. Patricia Akwashiki, told reporters after the council meeting today that the President is committed to a very smooth transition to the incoming administration and has therefore directed all ministers to put together their handover note and submit same to the Secretary to the Government, Chief Anyim, Pius Anyim.
He emphasized on the need for all MDGs and government parastatals and department agencies to submit their handing over notes to the office of the SGF by the 20th. That is next Monday. So we are going to be very busy this weekend putting our notes, handing over notes together. The President also emphasized that he would require another little briefing from all MDGs to indicate inherited projects, how far it has been executed, and initiated projects by his administration, and the level of completion, whether completed or ongoing or abandoned. So that was it at the Executive Council. We discussed other issues, but we are particularly paying attention to the transition, how we would make it effective.
Military authorities have dismissed stories making the rounds that soldiers earlier court-martialed and sentenced to death on charges of mutiny have been reprieved. When Channels Television sought clarification on the matter in a phone call to the Director of Army Public Relations, Colonel Sani Usman, he dismissed the story as a mere rumor. Colonel Usman said that if there had been any such development, an official public statement would have been made available. The Army Public Relations Director insisted that without any official pronouncement on the matter, it remains a rumor. Recall that a military court sitting in Abuja condemned 54 soldiers serving with troops fighting the insurgency in Borno State to death on December 17 last year after finding them guilty of mutiny against the authorities. The trial of Aminu Oguche and 5 others suspected masterminds of the Nyanya bomb blast has been stalled again, following a fresh application filed by the prosecutor. At the resumed hearing of the case, the prosecutor informed the court of his application, seeking to vary the order of the court on the shielding of prosecution witnesses, but the application was challenged by the defense counsel, Mr. Ahmed Raji, who accused him of frustrating the trial. Following this fresh application, the trial judge, Justice Ahmed Mohammed, has fixed May the 11th and 12th for hearing of the application and the commencement of trial.
This matter was adjourned for hearing today, and in the spirit of the practice direction, which enjoins all the courts taking offenses relating to terrorism to speedily hear and determine the matter, we opted out of any bail application, and we all agreed that this matter should be dealt with speedily so that the accused persons would know their fate. They brought an application to say that they wanted to limit the number of people in the court. They wanted all sorts of indulgence, and the court ruled after arguments from both sides, or all the sides. Then this morning, they were just serving us an application to modify that order when they knew that the matter is coming up for hearing and that they are supposed to come with their witnesses. They filed the application on the 9th. They didn't serve on the 10th, that night. They didn't serve on the 12th or 11th or 13th or 14th. They waited till this morning. And when an application is filed and it is not ripe for hearing, the court cannot do anything. So we are left with no other impression than to infer that this was a ploy to delay or avoid the hearing of this case today.
A fire outbreak occurred earlier in the day at the Malam Kontagora House, Marina in Lagos, southwest Nigeria. Emergency services responded to the outbreak within hours. Already, occupants of the building have been evacuated and the fire has been put out. Our correspondent, Olumide Macaulay, reports on the incident when it occurred.
The emergency services were said to have responded to the fire from 9 a.m. after evacuating the Kontagora house and the buildings next to it. The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, shed some light on how they responded to the situation and how the fire came about.
We got a distress call at our emergency call center through the 767 emergency toll-free line concerning a fire outbreak at Maman Kotangura house here at Marina. Actually, we have conducted our risk assessment and hazard analysis. Immediately, we got to the scene of the incidents in concert with the Lagos State Fire Service, the Federal Fire Service, Nigerian Ports Authority, the UBA Fire Department, the men of Nigerian Police, Lagos Island Division here. We're all through. And then we found out that the infant actually started from the top floor where you have the generator room. And then we have smaller surface tanks that are used to store diesel and smaller drums. Then immediately the fire started from the generator room. It spread to the surface tank where you have diesel. Of course, diesel is a highly combustible, is a highly inflammable material. There was a light explosion, and then it began to spread through the cables and then move from the top floor to the fourth floor. And our men, the emergency responders on ground, the combined team, tried as much as possible to curtail the spread. But be that as it may, we are talking about combustible material. As much as we are trying to curtail the spread, you know, we have some challenges because the inferno began to spread to the 6th and 7th floor.
While the Lagos State Fire Service allayed fears of the conflagration spreading.
The fire has been contained already. And what we are just trying to do is to ensure that it does not we are preventing it from spreading to other floors. But the real problem that came out of it is that they have two powerful diesel-driven generator, 500 kVA, two on one of the floors, and tanks that are fully laden with diesel as well. So you don't expect that kind of thing to be in the place where they are supposed to be used as an office.
No loss of life was reported in this incident, and according to LASEMA, the integrity of the structure had not been compromised to the point of collapse. But further conclusions will be reached after investigations, risk assessment, and hazard analysis is complete. Olumide Macaulay, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, Imo State Resident Electoral Commissioner reschedules governorship election for April the 28th. Please stay with us.